to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church, where compassion leads us to work for justice and equality. We are not starting an hour late. The time jumped back, so if you haven't set your clocks correctly at home, put it on the to-do list for this afternoon. I am glad you came today, and it is my hope that you will find something here that nourishes your heart, feeds your mind, and grows your spirit. My name is Tanner Trask, and I will be your worship leader this morning. Be you a spiritual seeker, an atheist, or a theist, Westside is a community of many beliefs, genders, and sexualities, a community of diverse cultural, racial, and class backgrounds, a community of varied abilities and gifts. Some here find inspiration in the great books, others in the great outdoors, and others still in great conversations. Whoever you may be, all are welcome in our inclusive congregation. To newcomers and old friends alike, together we say, welcome. At Westside, we are raising the next generation of Unitarian Universalists, and we want them to know that they are an important part of our community. Several years ago, we chose to be radically inclusive and to adopt a multi-generational worship where our services include all family members. So welcome to all children and youth of all ages. Now, there are a number of announcements included in your order of service this morning. Feel free to take any of them with you that you think you might need for reminders this week or to share with others. I did want to call attention to two of them real quick, two of the inserts. One of them is the reflections insert, which kind of shows you what's coming up in the next few weeks. Obviously, for those of you who have been here a while, no introduction is needed, but for those of you that are newer, we do have our Minister Emeritus, the Reverend Dr. Russell Elevin, who will be here in person on November the 19th. So he's shared a few messages over video over the last couple of years he's in Chicago, right? Yeah, he's in Chicago. And so he'll actually be here in the pulpit for the first time in a long time, really. So feel free to come to that one or any of the other ones that catch your interest. The other one I wanted to mention was the part about the eighth principle, conversations around that. There's a survey from September that if you never filled out, you can get from the QR code. And we also have some paper and questions and stuff up on the wall in the hallway as an opportunity to sort of have your voice heard there. And for those of you joining us online or visiting us for the first time today, if you are not already on our mailing list and you'd like to be, please sign up by clicking the link at the bottom of our westsideu.org website. And for those of you here in person with us, please take a moment to silence any devices you may have. So this morning, our speaker will be Charme Robarts, who will be speaking on the true wonders of curiosity. She is enjoying retirement with a good mix of free and busy time, and she's involved in a number of volunteer projects, serving on the board of DRC Solutions for Homelessness, distributing food to neighbors in need at First Street Mission, occasionally serving at Taste Community Project, a pay-as-you-can restaurant not far from here on South Main. And she is also a grief and life coach and spends time with family and friends with special interest in 3 granddaughters. And now I invite you to take a deep breath. And from wherever you are, settle into this sacred space that we create and let us worship together as we listen to this morning's prelude, Love is Still the Answer, by Jason Mraz, performed by the Westside Band.
So many smiles out there. Very easy.
We're missing a violinist, so bear with us for a second.
Join us in spirit. Here she is. Suddenly I have a lot less anxiety than... Believe me, she's worth waiting for. The question is why? Why are we here? To say our hellos and goodbye, then disappear. This beautiful life, what is it for? To learn how to master peace or master war. There's only one answer that matters, even if your heart has been shattered. Whatever you want, whatever you are after, love is still the answer. Love is still the answer. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. I want to do one more love. We all make mistakes. No, we're not perfect yet. Maybe God made us all from an accident. And the question that sits on everyone's lips is why should we pick ourselves up and start over again? Well, there's only one answer that matters, even if your heart has been shattered. Whatever you want, whatever you are after, love is still the answer. Love is still the answer. Love, 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 The question I'll ask at the end of my days is what did I give and what will I take? 'Cause there's only one. There's only one answer that matters. Even if your heart, even if your heart have been shattered, has been shattered. Whatever you want, whatever you are after, love is still the answer. Love is still the answer. Love, 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 love.
Love is still the answer.
All right, well, that was fantastic. And now I have to follow that up. Okay. So our opening words this morning, Open to Unexpected Answers, are by Julie Ann Lepp. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and of welcoming multiple truths. And I do invite Daniel Melendez to come forward and light our chalice this morning. The chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith and represents the Unitarian Universalist Association, or UUA. The flaming chalice symbolizes the heritage of our past, the warmth of community, and the light of hope within this church today. And Daniel's a member of our AV team, so if you're watching online, or if you've just enjoyed the acoustics today, him and his teammates are the ones you can thank for that.
This light we kindle is set upon the lamp of our history. We inherit this free faith from the brave and gentle, fierce and outspoken hearts and minds of those that have come before us. Let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly to a new generation.
Thank you, Daniel. Our opening hymn today is number 360, Here We Have Gathered, in the gray hymnal. Please stand as able and so moved to join our song leader. And please remain as you are to join us in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to work for justice through action, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. You may be seated. And
come up for the story.
you may come forward if you are young or young at heart, or just would like to have a close view of our Time for All Ages presented by our DLRE, Nikki Kennedy. And for those of you coming up, we do have some musical instruments up here, which if you're curious about them, look with your eyes, listen with your ears, but no touching with your hands.
Let's see. Y'all watch where you're walking. Hang on. Yeah, we'll be okay. Thank you. I have some cushions over here. Good morning, friends. Thank you for your help, amazing band. I don't know if we need all the cushions. Maybe we do need all the cushions. I am so happy to see you guys today. Today, I want to make sure we all know what two words mean. The two words, maybe you've heard them before, maybe you haven't. They are curiosity and wonder. Have you ever heard the word curious? Well, just to be sure, we all know what curious means. It means we're eager to learn and we're eager to know. And the word wonder means to think or to speculate in a curious way. One of the ways we explore curiosity and wonder, especially with our kids, is through spirit play. They are wondering right now what they look like on the screen, in case you can't tell. We have a thing about seeing ourselves on the screen, I do believe. So spirit play is based in story, it's based in ritual, it's based in creativity. It gives us tools to make meaning of the lies and questions of who I am, where did I come from, and what is my purpose within the container of Unitarian Universalism. Spirit play is a way of thinking about education, about religious education, and inviting kids and adults together to explore and to learn about existential limits. Provides us for the modeling of authentic religious education and questioning. The freedom to search for one's own meaning, and perhaps it's emotionally provocative. I often tell the children, faith is not really something you think, but it's something that you feel. It encourages independent thinking through wondering with an adult who does not mediate on the correct answers, but truly wonders with a child. It gives children real choices through freedom within the structure that promotes a sense of community, and it develops an underlying sense of the spiritual and the mystery of life. You know, hearing stories is really important. Have you guys ever heard stories about when your parents were little? Have you ever heard a story about when your parents were little? Have you ever heard a story about when your grandparents were little? Adam, be careful. Hang on, can you? Yes. Sorry, Adam, can you scoot over just a little bit? I'm afraid you got all wrapped up in there. Thank you very much, Darren. You've heard those stories? So when we hear stories, it's not just listening to these stories, but it's also about wondering. It's also about being curious. We get to wonder about things around us. Can you guys remember some of the things that we wondered about today? We don't just hear a story, but we wonder where we find ourselves in the stories. We come from a place of curiosity. Today in Spirit Play, we talked about many ways to pray and what that means, recognizing there's no one way and that some people may not. But it is the wondering of things around us. It's the wondering of the mystery. Can y'all remember anything that we wondered about today in our class together? Adam, what did you wonder about? Do you remember? Adam wondered about his dog and why his dog was so silly and why sometimes it runs and sometimes it walks. Some of us wondered about chalices. You know, we noticed a chalice on our name tag, and we wondered what it meant. And we wondered where we were in that story that has come before us and that continues. We wondered about the clouds. We saw dark clouds this week, and we wondered what they may mean. I hope this week you all stay curious. I hope you take the time to wonder about things around you, and I really hope you ask questions to help yourself learn. Stay curious, friends. Thank you, and have a great week.
Let's go ahead and sing our kids back to their seats with number 118, This Little Light of Mine. Thank you, and I'd like to invite a member of our pastoral care team, Barbara Crotty.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Crotty. I'm a pastoral care associate, and I'm in community here at Westside. We make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another, and we do this because each person in our community has value. Submit your joys and concerns to the team by completing a form like this, which is just outside this door, near the welcome desk, or by emailing us at pastoralcare@westsideu.org, or by contacting myself, John Fisher, Brenda McKeon, or Debbie Rake, who are current members of the team. We share our concerns with one another today, knowing that sorrows come into each person's life, and knowing that together we offer comfort. And today, we don't have any concerns that have been turned in, but we also share our joys with one another, knowing too that joy comes into our lives, and knowing that together our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration. And today, Glenda Hood says that she's beyond happy to report that her cousin, who had the car accident where she lost her left arm, has gone home, and she's doing well and is adjusting well. We make space each week for musical centering, knowing the life and experience of every person matters, and together our lights shine brighter. Our centering song today is 123, Spirit of Life.
My name is Glenda Hood. I invite you to relax your mind and body and join in a time of meditation. It will begin with an introduction before we move into a minute of silence. Our bell will sound to signal the start of your own meditation, prayer, or reflection, and it will sound again at the end. Today's meditation is an elemental blessing by Stacy Elza. May your kindness abound like hydrogen, which fuels every star and is the most plentiful element in the universe. May your generosity refresh like oxygen, which burns in every candle flame, falls in every raindrop, and is exhaled in the great, slow sigh of every forest. May your love endure like bismuth, which could radiate energy for 20 billion years and only be half depleted, but whose iridescent crystals are safe enough to hold. And may your strength persist like carbon, which has enabled all life in our solar system, what it knows, what it has known, or will ever know. From diplodocuses to dandelions, from blue-green algae to blue whales, and from the katydids that cling to branches and chirrup through the night, to the kale that clings to life aboard the International Space Station and hurtles through the silent, endless night of outer space. May we be good company to one another in our questions and our journey. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
Thank you, Glenda. So here at Westside, we practice our UU faith in a variety of ways. One of those ways is by giving 100% of the gifts to our weekly collection, unless otherwise designated, to support organizations who carry out our transcendent values of compassion, justice, and equality. Westside's plate offering for November is Finn's Place. Finn's Place is a community center in Fort Worth for trans and gender diverse people to gather, grow, and flourish. It works to provide a safe space for the trans community to gather and access resources and educate the community about trans and LGBTQ+ people and their experiences. Plus, it creates opportunities for trans joy. Finn's Place is named after Finn Spicer, a trans teenager who taught those around him to trust people when they communicate who they are. Finn died unexpectedly in 2018. This vital space is cared for by Finn's faith community, Galileo Church, in support of their commitment to do justice for LGBTQ+ people. You can learn more about Finn and Finn's Place by clicking on the link in our newsletters. Transgender Awareness Week will be observed this month, November 13th through the 19th, culminating in Transgender Day of Remembrance on November 20th. Let's honor this time and support this space for our trans neighbors right here in Fort Worth. And we'll enjoy this musical offering, Ashokan Farewell by Jay Ungar, performed by the Westside Band. thank you all for putting into practice the spiritual virtue of generosity. Our giving connects us to a wider web of our community. And thank you for also keeping your stewardship commitment current to keep our congregation's important work going. Now I'd like to welcome Charme Robarts to the pulpit.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me again. Well, I came on a good Sunday for beautiful music and wonderful words. I'm always really impressed by the words that I hear in your meditation and other things that are read here. You guys are very fortunate to get to hear this kind of thing and to be centered. Well, I have a story for you. Once upon a time, in a small town called Curiosity, there lived a curious little girl named Emma. Emma had the most inquisitive mind that you could imagine. She was always asking questions, always challenging the answer, always looking to see what's beyond what meets the eye. Her insatiable curiosity sometimes got her in trouble, but most of the time, she had a life of adventure, and her parents and the town folks loved her. One autumn day, Emma was walking through the woods. This always happens in stories, as you know. And in the thicket, there was something, and as she stepped closer, it was a small cottage. And there on the porch was a man, a tall man with a scruffy beard, puffing a pipe. She was intrigued. She leaned forward and said, "Hi, I'm Emma. What's your name?" He looked her over a minute and broke into a smile and said, "My name is Walter. Would you like a cup of tea?" Inside, Emma's eyes bulged at the sights that greeted her. The cottage was packed with curiosities, with strange-looking objects, each one more fascinating than the last. Her eyes darted out around the room, and before you know it, she had broken a vase. She saw Walter's disappointed face, and she said, I'm so sorry." And again, he broke into a smile and said, "It's okay. Curiosity does sometimes have a price," he said. While Walter was sweeping up, her eyes moved about the room, and she saw this ginormous bookshelf. There were hundreds of books there, and she began to imagine what adventures was between the pages of those books. And suddenly she looked up high and saw a red book. It seemed to be glowing. She couldn't resist. She reached up high, she pulled down the book, she blew off the dust that had been there for quite some time. And the title? The Spell Book of Happiness. Emma couldn't contain her excitement. She asked Walter, "Could I just take this home and I'll bring it right back tomorrow?" He said, "Emma, I'm not sure. It's a potent book, and you really should not take it lightly." She smiled her sweet smile, put it in her backpack, and said, "I'll see you tomorrow." Off she went. She couldn't wait to get into that book and find ultimate happiness. Arriving home, she ran to her room, closed the door, closed the curtains, and began flipping through the pages, and there were all kinds of spells in there. There was one that would make you invisible, and one that would make you smarter, and one that would allow her to talk to animals so that they would understand and she would understand them. She decided to start with the invisibility spell. So Emma stood in front of the mirror. She closed her eyes and said the words that she had just read. And when she opened her eyes, she was elated. It worked. She was invisible. Her clothes were floating in the air and her body was gone. But her victory lap was short-lived because she realized she did not know how to reverse the spell. Emma started to panic, imagining that she would be invisible forever. And so she tried all the spells she knew, trying to reverse it. Nothing was working. And all the while, her parents are calling from downstairs, "Emma, time to do your chores." She didn't know what to do. So she said, "I'll escape out the window." Trying that, she jumps out on the window grate, thinking she'd grab the downspout, hit the floor, and run into the woods and get help from Walter. But she got caught on the grill. she's stuck. Just then, her parents burst into the room, shocked to see their daughter hung on the window grill, naked. They called the fire brigade, who arrived in no time, and somehow they got Emma down. Her parents said, "What on earth happened to you?" She muttered something about a spell going wrong and promised herself to abandon her curiosity for good. Now, what is that story about? I have no idea. Was she really naked? Was she really invisible? How'd she end up minus her clothes? Was curiosity getting the best of her? I don't know. Maybe I just told you that story to get your attention, because I am indeed interested in curiosity. I'm interested in the idea of curiosity for a number of reasons, but one that comes to the front for me today is our very human willingness to reduce complex issues to a simple yes or no. I see this all the time on social media. Unfortunately, I also hear my own voice too often offering up unexamined thought, woefully inadequate opinions. What's needed is more curiosity about how our words will affect the situation. Will they add more light or more heat? Is heat needed? Well, maybe so, but shouldn't we know what we're talking about? A recent article in the New York Times by Elizabeth Spires really got my attention on this. She was writing 10 days after the Hamas-Israel atrocities began. She noted that she, as a journalist, was responsible for 6 areas of inquiry that none of them had anything to do with foreign policy. And yet, when she opened up X, formerly known as Twitter, she found all these people, her fans and others, demanding that she make a statement. She titled the article that I was reading, "You Don't Have to Post Your Outrage." And I thought, well, why not? Well, she thinks that some people believe that they should quickly blurt out simplistic opinions because they're afraid that people might think they aren't informed enough if they don't get their words out there quickly, or people might think they don't care enough, or that their moral compass is somehow broken. But Ms. Spires adds, a social media post really tells you nothing about what a person really thinks or knows. Worse, she says, it cheapens the discourse and impedes progress. Now that's worth thinking about, isn't it? Cheapens the discourse, impedes progress by jumping on bandwagons before seeing if there's even any wheels on there. I've done this. Another recent article by a human rights scholar points up the problems of images we see on social media. He noted that when the Hamas and Israel thing began, screen grabs from a popular video game were pushed out as depicting scenes of actual events. You may have heard about this. So pictures from a video game are being circulated as if they were pictures of the actual bombings. Even the New York Times got caught up in this and had to amend their story sometime later about the strike on the early strike on the Gaza hospital. The point of this long and interesting article, written about, 2 weeks after the conflicts began, the point of it was that social media users have significant influence, and we, social media users, have some responsibility when it comes to consuming and sharing information. Would more curiosity help? Wouldn't it be useful to learn a little more before posting or talking? Wouldn't it? Before adding a clever statement or before repeating something someone else has said? Well, I learned an interesting thing about curiosity as I was casting about thinking of what to say here today. There's another very recent article in Neuroscience News from Duke University. Dr. Abby Shung said, when we think about curiosity, we're usually thinking of this need for immediate answers. But she and her colleagues did some research and found that when people are more curious, they're actually a little more willing to wait. Now, this explains why we don't like spoilers. If I've recorded a football game, please don't tell me the score before I've seen it. If I'm going to watch a movie later, don't tell me what happened. And if I haven't read my book yet, don't tell me how it all works out. It's because our brains kind of enjoy the journey of curiosity. So she said, with their research, curiosity doesn't just motivate getting answers, it increases the value of the journey itself. That makes me want to commit to curiosity, especially when we're talking about these important issues. The patient work of seeking more information, of waiting to see how things unfold, of being curious enough to find out the whys of different perspectives, these can produce more informed arguments. Rather than cheapening the discourse and impeding progress, perhaps they can add light and not just heat. Well, let's move from social media and the concerns around politics and social issues, and let's think about curiosity when it comes to our everyday relationships. And I'm telling you, this will save a bunch of cats right here. Psychologists have long promoted the idea of curiosity as it relates to being a good friend, a good parent, a good partner. I can't remember where I read this recently, but the author was reflecting on having been to a party of some sort, and as he drove home, he realized that nobody asked him a thing about himself. Apparently, he had encountered a lot of people who were busy telling their own stories, talking about themselves, not showing any curiosity about him. Now, I've known a lot of people in my life who struggle with loneliness and who lack good friendships. And I always wonder if that difficult problem could be helped by the person learning to be just a little more curious about others. People who do all the talking in conversations have a harder time forming good relationships and friendships because the other person on the other side of that is missing the joy of sharing. Now, we all like to talk about ourselves. Our brains are kind of wired that way. But really, isn't it more fun to pass the ball a little bit? So it pays to decide to be more curious about the other person. Not nosy, just curious. The stakes get really high when we start talking about conflict in our relationships. How many volatile situations could be diffused if we were more willing to be curious about why the person is doing or saying this thing? If moms were more willing to be curious about why daughters are talking or acting this way, which is not wholly pleasing, if dad was more curious about why is son sulking, what's going on? Dare we ask? Can we stand to hear it? Can we be curious enough to find out if we somehow are contributing to all this negative energy that's happening? Why does my daughter love her guns? Why does my brother hate the president? Why is my sister closed-minded? Why does my neighbor... You can add to this. Curiosity seeks to understand, and it can lead to more empathy. I read a great description of empathy. Empathy is soothing, calming, and bridge building. Lord knows we need some of that. And guess what? We're wired for it. When we feel an emotion, this part of our brain called the insula lights up. I don't know if it's here or here, but this looks good. This part of our brain lights up, and when I see you experiencing an emotion, that same part of my brain lights up. We're wired for this, empathy. And so deciding to be more curious about my own emotional responses, your emotional responses, all of our reactivity, all of this can improve our personal relationships. Trying to understand a little bit more about what someone else thinks doesn't mean you have to change your mind, but I would add, wouldn't it be wise to change our minds if we find out we're wrong? I read this great, I think I get it weekly, newsletter called The Marginalia, and the curator is Maria Popov, and she has this great quote. You should write this down somewhere. Allow yourself the uncomfortable luxury of changing your mind. I need to take that medicine. At the very least, curiosity about others can show us that while we may disagree on significant things, there is still our common humanity. Scholars and philosophers have long debated whether curiosity is a virtue or a vice. For sure, curiosity, like anything else, has a pejorative side. So perhaps what we could say is always be curious enough to discriminate between important matters, to know, and what's unimportant and perhaps corrupting. Well, finally, back to Emma. Maybe a little more curiosity about casting spells could have saved her from that serious wardrobe malfunction. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you so much. So now we'll please rise and body your spirit to join us for our closing hymn, number 158, Praise the Source of Faith and Learning in the Gray Hymnal.
Just singing the first two, you guys.
Just the first two. Our closing words today, "In the End It Won't Matter," are by the Reverend John Morgan. In the end, it won't matter how much we have, but how generously we have given. It won't matter how much we know, but rather how well we live. And it won't matter how much we believe, but how deeply we love. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet. And now, join me in the congregational closing. Go in peace, seeking justice. Go in peace, committed to the equal rights and opportunities for all. Go in the peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace. May it be so, blessed be, and amen. Thank you again to Charme. Thank you again to the West Side Band. That was fantastic. And of course, as always, thanks to the AV desk for everything they do. Thank you all for being here.